Hello everyone, welcome to Graphic Designers Workshop. Let us see how to create different types of ribbons in Illustrator. So let us start. The first type of ribbon that we are going to do is a simple one. So what we'll do is, we will keep the fill active and we will select a rectangle and then we will select one more rectangle. And what we'll do is, we'll select the delete anchor point tool and just delete one of the points for this rectangle, right? And then we will duplicate this particular shape. Simply hold Alt or Option in Mac and then create a duplicate, right? And now we will flip it. To flip, simply right click on the shape and then select transform, and here we have an option reflect. That's it, right? And then we will give a different color to this shape, the smaller shapes. These are like the foldings of ribbon, right? Then we'll create one more rectangle and we'll pick the green color for this. And what we'll do is, we will try to place it over this left color red shape, right? And then we'll select the add anchor point tool. We'll create a point over this rectangle and then we'll just drag this point inwards, something like this, right? And then we'll right click, arrange, and we will select send to back, right? Then what we'll do is, we will select this bottom 2 points and then we will use shift and up arrow and we will adjust it in this way, right? And then we will adjust the center point over here, right? We can just select these 3 points on the left side and then we can use shift and left arrow key to move it a little bit to the left, right? Then what we'll do is, we will take a duplicate of this particular rectangle or shape and then we will flip it. So simply right click on the shape, select transform, and here we have an option reflect and then simply click OK. And then we'll just match it properly with the red color folding, right? So we can just check whether we have adjusted it properly. So here we need to just adjust the point. We need to snap the point on this red color shape. And we'll do the same thing for the left side shape. We will zoom into it and we'll select the direct selection tool and then we will just snap it on top of this green color shape, right? So now we have created a simple ribbon. So to make it more attractive, what we'll do is, we will apply some gradient colors. So to apply gradient colors, we can use swatches. We need to go to window menu and we will select swatches. So here we have the swatches panel and at the bottom of the swatches panel we can find swatch libraries menu. Simply click on it and then we will select some gradients. So here we have some gradients. here we have gems and jewels. So we can select gems and jewels. So what we'll do is we will apply some of the inbuilt gradients which are available in these swatches. So we will just apply this particular gradient, which is sapphire, and we will select the sapphire for these shapes also, and for this red one we'll apply this emerald silky green color. Right, so now we have created a simple ribbon. So what we'll do now is we will group this entire ribbon. So simply hit Ctrl plus G, and then to make it more attractive we will apply a warp effect to this particular ribbon. So simply go to effect, and here we have warp option, or we can say warp effect. Simply select the warp and select arc. Right, so here we can see, and what we'll do is we will slightly increase the size of our document. So simply hit Shift plus O and increase the size of our document, or we can say artboard. Right, so now we will select our ribbon. We'll simply go to effect and we'll go to warp and we'll select arc. Right, here we can increase or decrease the bend value, but it looks nice if we increase the bend value. Right, simply click OK, and then what we are supposed to do is we'll just simply go to object menu, and here we have an option expand appearance. Currently this object is in warp effect mode. We have to bring it outside the warp effect mode and make it into a normal shape, a normal object. So we'll simply select expand appearance, and now it is a normal shape. So this is our first simple ribbon, and we can do many things. We can simply put the title of some logo or anything, any advertisement. So what we'll do is we'll simply select the pen tool. We'll make the stroke active, and we will just create an arc shape. So something like this, and hit enter, and we will adjust this shape. So it should look something like this. Right, so now we will select the type on a path tool, and then we will just simply type on this particular path. Simply click over the path, and some dummy text appears. Remove it by using backspace, and we will type our own text. Arts, art and media. Right, and we will simply scale it using Control Shift greater than or Command Shift greater than. Right, we can use the direct selection tool to position the text properly on this path. Right, then we will just drag it, and we can also slightly reduce the size of the text. Just highlight the text, simply use Control Shift less than or Command Shift less than. Right, so we can just use the direct selection tool and just place it properly over this ribbon, right? And then we can break the link between the text and the path. So for that we need to go to object menu, and here we have an option expand. Simply select expand and just click OK, right? We can change the color of the text, so something like this. So this is the first simple ribbon that we have created in Illustrator. The next ribbon that we are going to do is by using the grid. So here I have activated the grid, and in case the grid is not active, we can always go to view menu, and in view menu here we have an option. Right now for me it is hide grid. So if I hide the grid, so now we can't see any grid. So we will go to view menu, and here we will activate the grid by selecting show grid, right? And we will be snapping our points to these grid lines, So to snap our points to these grid lines, we need to go to view menu, and here we have an option snap to grid. It's important to activate this option, to turn on this option, because we want the points that we are going to create by using our pen tool to snap to these grid lines. That's very important. And we should also turn on this option snap to point, right? And the next thing we are supposed to do is, here we can observe the grid lines. The grid lines are close to each other. So if we want to bring the grid lines close to each other, we need to go to edit menu, and in edit menu we have preferences, and in preferences we have to select general. We can use the keyboard shortcut Ctrl K or Command K to activate the preferences dialog box, right? And in preferences dialog box, here we have guides and grid, and I have selected grid line area here to 10 points. So if you keep it to, let's say, 4, we can see the grid lines are even closer to each other. So we can keep them closer or keep them a little bit away from each other by increasing or decreasing the grid line area option in the preferences dialog box, right? So let me keep it to 10 points, right? So now we have adjusted the grid lines, right? Make sure to keep the grid lines close to each other, right? So now we will turn off the fill, activate the stroke, and we'll select the pen tool, and we will start creating a different ribbon, and this time using the grid lines. Make sure that you select snap to grid. This is very important. If not, the points are not going to snap to the grid lines, right? So I will be starting at this point, at this particular grid line. Simply click with the pen tool and don't release your mouse, just drag it downwards, right? And then we will just extend our path to a further grid line, something which is over here, and then just simply click and don't release your mouse, and once again drag it downwards, right? We need to get a path in this way, a curved path, right? So once we are done with this, simply hit enter, right? We can increase the curvature a little bit by dragging these points, just make it more curvy, right? Then what we'll do is we'll take one more duplicate of this path. To take a duplicate of this path, simply hold Alt or Option in the Mac and drag, and we will now place it a little bit away from the first path, somewhere over here, right? So now what we'll do is we will just make it into a shape by connecting these open parts, open points. So here what we'll do is we will just select these 2 points simply by drawing a selection around these 2 points, and we'll right click and then we'll select join. Right, we'll do the same thing for the right side points. Just draw a selection to select both the left side points. Just draw a selection to select the left side points and then simply right click and select join. That's it. So now we got a shape. We need to fill a color inside this. We will simply fill a color, and we will just swap the stroke to fill, right? And then what we'll do is we'll take one more duplicate of this shape. Simply hold Alt or Option in the Mac and then drag one more duplicate. So we need to keep it a little bit away from the first shape, but make sure that this shape is snapping to the grid lines properly. Right. So now what we need to do is we will flip this particular shape. So simply right click on it, select transform, and we'll select reflect. Right, and see, we have flipped the shape and we have used the option vertical here, right? And we'll simply click OK. Now we can change the color. So let us pick a red color for this, and here we will adjust it a little bit. Right, we can just check the grid lines here. Right. So now we'll take one more duplicate. This time we'll take the duplicate of this red color shape. Simply hold Alt or Option in the Mac. Just drag the red color shape and we will snap it over here. Right. And we will also increase the size of our artboard. Simply we will hit Shift plus O and we will extend our artboard so that we can just make a bigger size ribbon. Right. So now we will select this green color ribbon and simply hold Alt or Option in the Mac and just create a duplicate, and we will just snap it to this red color shape. So we can take the help, we'll just hold Alt or Option in the Mac and we will just create a duplicate. Right. And now we'll create one more duplicate. Simply hold Alt or Option in the Mac, select this red color ribbon, and then we have just snapped it to this particular green color ribbon. Right. And one last time we will just take one more duplicate, one final duplicate of this green color ribbon by simply holding Alt or Option in the Mac, and then we will just snap it to this red color shape. Right. So now we have created a different kind of ribbon. So what we'll do with this is we will just hide the grid for the time being. We will select these two, the top ribbons, and we will just scale them. And then we will select the bottom or the middle ribbons and we will just scale them, but make sure that they are not bigger than the first ribbons. Right. So we can just adjust the shape here a little bit. Here we can see some issues. So we'll select the direct selection tool and then we can just adjust it properly. Right. So here we have created a different kind of ribbon, and to make it more attractive we will give the colors from our swatches libraries. So here we have the gems and jewels, so we will apply some colors from these gems and jewels. Right. So here I have applied amethyst gradient to this particular ribbon, and we'll apply the same gradient to this one. So we can use the eyedropper tool to just pick that particular gradient. Right. And for this green ribbon we will just apply this garnet. There is a garnet swatch here, so we can just use the eyedropper tool and then pick that particular color. Right. We can just select the entire ribbons and we will group them. We can rotate them a little bit, and we can also take one more duplicate here and we can flip it. We'll just simply select the transform and we will select reflect. Right. And then to make it more interesting, we can take one more duplicate and we can create some reflections. So we'll just right click and here we will again select transform and reflect, and this time we will select the axis as horizontal. Right. And we'll do the same thing. We'll just duplicate this particular ribbon and then we'll right click, transform, and we'll select ribbon, reflect, and we will use vertical. Right. So now what we can do is we'll select a rectangle tool. We will cover these two ribbons with this particular rectangle, and then we will apply a black and white gradient to this particular rectangle. So simply select the gradient panel. In case the gradient panel is not already open, we can always open it from the window menu. Right. And we will just select a black and white color, a black and white gradient. Right. We can use this black and white gradient as a mask. So how it works is, first we need to get the black and white colors. So simply hit G to activate the annotator, and we can just drag these sliders to get the black and also the white color. So this rectangle is covering the ribbons behind, and wherever the black is on this rectangle, that particular black will hide the portions of those ribbons which are lying behind this particular rectangle, and the portions of the ribbons which are behind the white color area of this rectangle, they will be visible, and the gray color areas will make those ribbons semi-transparent. Right, let us see how it works. So first thing is we will simply rotate this annotator, and we will just position the white and black colors properly on this annotator. So something like this. Right. So now what we'll do is we'll just draw a selection from outside and select both the rectangle and the ribbons behind the rectangle, and then we can select opacity option over here, and in the opacity option we can see a panel here, and to the top right corner of this panel we can find a hamburger menu, and if we click on the menu we can see this opacity mask, make opacity mask. Just click on it. So we can see here. So we can see the bottom part is now invisible. It got faded out. So if we want the black to be more, means if you want a more fade out to happen, so what we can do is we will just increase the black portion. Just make it more black so that we can only see some portions of the ribbons. Just draw a selection again to select both the ribbons and the rectangle. Simply select the opacity and just click on this hamburger menu, and we will select make opacity mask. Right. Now it looks more interesting. So now what we'll do is just select the bottom ribbons, and here opacity is 100%. We'll slightly reduce the opacity. We'll make it, let's say 25%. Right. Now this looks better. And one final thing we'll do is we will just create one background. So what we'll do is we'll just create a rectangle. We'll fit this rectangle over our artboard, and we will just give it some light color. Right. And we will right click on it, select arrange, and we will select send to back. Right. So this is the second type of ribbon that we have created in Illustrator, and this time by using grids. The next ribbon that we'll be creating is by using 3D Extrude. So what we'll do is we'll activate our stroke first. We'll first create a path. So make sure that the stroke is active, select the pen tool, and now we'll create a path. We are creating a red color path. Right. And we will use the direct selection tool to adjust this path. Make sure that you create this path with a proper curvature. It should look very curvy. Right. So once we got the curvature, so what is our next task? So we'll select this path, we'll go to effect menu, we'll select 3D, and here we have the option extrude and bevel. And once we select the extrude and bevel options, see automatically we can see the ribbon. and the ribbon is created, but we will adjust these values. Here we will first put 0 in all these input fields. There are 3 different axes, which is x-axis, y-axis and z-axis. So what we'll do is we will use the first axis, which is x-axis. We'll put our cursor in this input field and then we will use the up arrow. So we can see here. So now we got a ribbon, right? So we can just put a value of 60 in this x-axis field and we'll simply click OK, right? Then what we'll do is we will go to object and we'll select expand appearance, because right now this ribbon is in extrude mode. We need to bring this ribbon outside the extrude mode. We need to make it into a normal object or normal shape. So we'll just go to object menu and we'll select expand appearance, right? Then the next thing we are supposed to do is we will ungroup all the shapes. This particular ribbon is a combined shape. We need to break it into different pieces. So for that we will simply right click on this ribbon and we'll select ungroup. We need to keep clicking ungroup till we are able to select the individual pieces, right? So here I am able to select the individual pieces. So we will select all the pieces by holding shift and we will simply move it a little bit down so that we can see the path that we have first used to create this particular ribbon. So we will select this path and simply delete it, right? So now what we'll do is, see, the first thing is here we can see many pieces of this ribbon. The pieces are not united actually. So we need to first unite these pieces. So first I will select this particular shape and we will activate the pathfinder. So here we have the pathfinder, and in case the pathfinder is not open, we can always open it by going to window menu and selecting the pathfinder. We can also use the keyboard shortcut Shift Control F9 or Shift Command F9 in Mac, right? So we'll select this shape and here we have the option unite, right? We'll do the same thing for the remaining shapes. So select this particular shape and we'll select unite, right? So we have united all these individual shapes, right? So once all these shapes are united, now it's time for us to apply colors. So we'll select the back one and we will directly apply swatches to this. So we'll select the swatches and we can just select gradients from the swatch libraries menu, and here we can select the gems and jewels, right? And we will apply a simple green color gradient, and right now the green is applied to the stroke, so we will just swap the fill and we'll apply a fill color to this particular shape, and we will turn off the stroke. So we'll do the same thing for these particular shapes. Select this particular shape and we'll select the eyedropper and we'll pick this particular color, right? And we'll do the same thing. Just select this and we will just select the eyedropper and pick the same color for this particular shape, right? So for the folds we will apply a different color. So we can apply a blue color. So this is sapphire, right? Then what we'll do is we will just make it a little bit small, and for the back one we will create an extra point at the middle, and we will then just drag the point inwards so that it looks exactly like a ribbon. Right. Then what we'll do is we will take a duplicate of this particular ribbon. Just hold Alt or Option in the Mac and then just create a duplicate. Right. So now we will flip this. So simply right click on it, select transform, and here we have the option reflect. Right. So we need to connect this particular ribbon. Right. So then we will just select the entire ribbon, and we can actually make it small. So we will use the selection tool and we'll make it small. We'll select the center shapes. So here we have the center shapes. So we'll just slightly move the right side shape to left, and then we'll select both these shapes and we'll unite them. Right. So now we have united. So we need to check whether our ribbon is proper or not. So we can see here we need to slightly move these shapes and align them properly with the center one. Just move it. Right. So we can also check the left side shapes. Okay, so we have to slightly move them. Just move them. Right. So we need to check the alignments of the folds and the ribbons, the green ribbons and the blue ribbons. Right. So once it's all done, so now we can just group the entire ribbon. So simply select the entire ribbon and we'll hit Ctrl+G or Command G in the Mac. Right. So we have created a ribbon using 3D options or 3D extrude. So what else we can do with this? So we can also apply the warp effect. We can apply the warp effect to this particular ribbon. So simply go to Effect, Warp, and we'll select the arc. So we have used the arc option for the first ribbon, and we can use the other warp styles also. So we can select flag. So we can see here. So we can just play with these values and we can finalize the one that looks very attractive. So we can select something called Bulge. So you can see here. So we can experiment, we can do a lot of experimentation. So you can see here how it's changing, and we will just come back to the arc shape and let's see. Right, so this looks better, and we will simply click OK. And now what we'll do is we will expand it. Simply go to Object and select Expand Appearance. Right. So here we have created a 3D ribbon just by using a path. And to make it more interesting, we can select a star. So we can just increase the radius to here. And we will also increase the number of points. And we can create a star. So something like this. Then what we can do is we will also select an ellipse, and we will just swap the fill to stroke. We'll give a red color stroke and we'll turn off the fill, and then we'll just put this particular ellipse or elliptical stroke inside this star. So we can just take one more. So we can just duplicate using Ctrl C and Ctrl F, or Command C and Command C and Command F. Right. And we can change the color if we want to pure white. White looks better. Right. So we can just right click, arrange, and put the ribbon in front of this particular star. And we can also change the color of the star to some other color. We can give it a pure red color, and we can just turn off the stroke. Right. So now it looks better. And we can select the entire star and group it, and we can just slightly move it. Right. And in case we want to flip this ribbon, we can also flip it. Simply right click, right click, transform, and we can select reflect, and we can use the axis as horizontal. Right. So we can just do it like this. Right. And we can put some label or a name over this badge. We can call it badge or logo or whatever. So simply we'll put RS Art. So we can change the font here. Right. Right. And we can just finalize it. We can give a simple drop shadow to this particular ribbon. So simply go to Effect, Stylize, and Drop Shadow. Just reduce the opacity here. Right. So this is how we can create different types of ribbons in Illustrator. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Please do like, subscribe, share, and if you have anything to say, do comment. See you again.